the notorious Trade of Blades Guild and Free House. Much has been made of the threat to our lands and homes posed by men and women of the sword, those that walk the roads with no ties to lord or lady. Many have argued that allowing these creatures to maintain quarters in Neverwinter is to invite trouble. I would say that to turn them away would bring double or triple hardship down upon the surrounding settlements. If you deny the mercenary his living, what recourse will he or she have but to turn to banditry? Would it not make sense to allow the Trade of Blades to welcome them, thus imparting a sense of kinship with the city? Does it need to be said that having them here for our hire is far better than turning them away and into the arms of our enemies? It is in the best interests of Neverwinter that not only is this mercenary tolerated, but welcomed. Augustavus Cale, founder.
Hello there.
Alright, of course, this is the merchant for the Trade of Blades. Step right up. I've got just what you're looking for. My shop ain't what it used to be, but I'm still a shopkeeper nonetheless. They would likely be disguised and could be anywhere. Lily jokingly wonders how much it would be to get one of those fierce tattoos like she saw on the back of that half-orc mercenary. There's an artist in Daggerford, Durf, who runs a shop called Durf's Skin Art. They can do almost anything. Pictures, facial expressions, scarring, branding, even fit a map on the back of a dwarf. Lily wouldn't dare mar her beautiful elven skin, but if she did, she'd imagine it would be something vivid and bestial, something to scare the nobles back in Waterdeep. A gnome sorcerer, probably a poor student of Jeru's and a good friend of Zadir's.
Hello there. You don't have the look of one of those Neverwinter soldiers about you. Neither do you show any evidence of having contracted the plague.
Alright, Bodyknock Glinkle for hire. But you do have a certain bearing about you that distinguishes you from the ordinary citizen. Based on my observations, I'd venture the hypothesis that you're an adventurer, correct? Yeah, I'm not sure Lily would classify herself as such. Asking who he is. I'm Bodyknock Glinkle, a gnome sorcerer from the island of Lantern, who's only recently arrived here in Neverwinter. I guess Lily would know that they look down on sorcery in Lantern. As a practitioner of arcane magic yourself, you must surely have encountered the suspicion and fear with which most common folk regard our art. My homeland is not so different. The Lantan's people do not disparage magic, though many do not understand it. However, in my land we rely on the arcane far less than the other peoples of Faerun. We prefer to seek out a scientific solution to a problem rather than a magical one. Often, through observation and experimentation, a problem can be solved without resorting to magecraft. Of course, sometimes a little touch of the arcane is a good thing. When the situation is appropriate, I do not hesitate to use my powers. I may be from Lantern, but I am first and foremost a sorcerer. Piccolo is almost maybe afraid to ask what he's doing in Neverwinter. I left my home some time ago to experience the broader world. It's not uncommon for the people of my island to undertake such a journey. I was exploring the northern coast when I heard rumblings of a previously unknown plague breaking out in Neverwinter. In the name of scientific discovery, I came to investigate and catalog the new illness. Fortunately, I arrived before the city was quarantined. I decided to begin my investigations of the Wailing Death and the Beggar's Nest. Alright, asking why the Beggar's Nest? From the accounts I gathered, it was generally agreed that the Beggar's Nest was where the outbreak began. I thought the best way to learn about the plague was to trace it back to its source. And when I learned the clerics were unable to combat the plague, I thought that I could apply the scientific principles of Lantern to discover a more mundane cure. Unfortunately, I had to end my investigations into the Beggar's Nest mere days after they began. Far too short a time to conduct a proper study of the situation. Alright, asking why you had to stop. It is difficult to conduct a serious scientific analysis when you're constantly besieged by zombies. Much as I wanted to continue my research, I wasn't about to throw my life away to do it. However, the zombie infestation struck me as more than mere coincidence. I suspect there may be more than a casual relationship between the animated corpses in the district and the outbreak of the plague itself. While the zombies continue to wander the district, I cannot test my theory, but I suspect information that could lead to a cure could be found within the Beggar's Nest. Alright. Well, what she'd like to know is how much his services would cost. He'd like to know her mission, but that's confidential. A confidential mission from Lady Arbeth. Given the circumstances, it's not difficult for me to surmise that your mission is somehow connected to finding a cure for the plague. I don't think she likes how inquisitive he is. Given my own scientific interest in the plague, I'd be glad to accompany you in your mission. All evidence seems to indicate you're a capable woman who isn't afraid of a little adventure and exploration. And you have the bearing of a decent employer. Alright, this is all she wanted to know. 150 gold pieces. But of course, she doesn't need the services of a gnome sorcerer now, and she doubts she ever will. Well, if you ever decide you need a good sorcerer, you know where to find me. If Bones gets restless and needs something to play with, she'll consider hiring Banditry. It would be amusing to watch at the very least, or at least for a little while. In a private room, a fair elven woman is rubbing a stain off of her shirt. She's cheerful and gentle-looking, yet hardy at the same time.
Please now, I already told you that I didn't mean to step on your cat. It ran right in front. Oh, you're not that other one.
Alright, here's Lino Laneral, also for hire. Oh goodness, how embarrassing. Why does this always happen to me? Asking who she is. Before I tell you anything about me, I'd like to ask you a question if you don't mind. You're not one of those dirty, underhanded, conniving thief types, are you? Of course, Lily's not. I have had nothing but problems with irritating, despisable thieves ever since I left, but that's not important right now. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lino Laneral, a devout priest of Sayanine Moonbow. I seek to continue my adventures by hiring myself out as a healer. Yeah, I'm not sure Lily's familiar with Sayanine Moonbow. Few outside the elven people know of Sayanine. There's little to tell that would be of importance to you, except that she protects her people, sometimes sending dreams or visions to guide us. I came to the city believing I could stem the tide of this plague with the powers of Sayanine. Alas, it defied my every attempt to find a cure. I worked long, hard hours in the Temple of Tyr, trying to alleviate the pain of the sick. Finally, after working through several days and nights, I was exhausted. When I tried to stand, I fainted. Well, I fell over and bumped into a glass statue of the symbol of Tyr. One of the balanced plates flew across the room and smashed spectacularly right above the head of the high priest. The crash was so shocking that the priest sat down, right on top of a rather large shard of glass. I'm sure it healed up just fine once they stripped him and pulled it out. I was unhurt, but the other priests didn't seem too concerned about that at the time. They asked me to find somewhere else to help the wounded, as if it was my fault somehow. Yeah, I think Lily has a hard time believing that she's really that clumsy. I'm not really clumsy, I was just tired. My troubles don't come from a lack of dexterity, so much as poor timing. Don't worry, I'm good in a fight and an excellent healer. Each day I've been assisting victims of the plague in the slums in the Black Lake district, where they lie in the street ignored by the residents and guards alike. Of course, Lily's interested to hear about Black Lake. I think she's wondering why she's not there and here. Well, not anymore. The last time I visited there was a couple of days ago. I was attempting to help a sick old woman off the street when I was set upon by several thugs. People are terribly discouraged because they figure they're going to catch the Wailing Death, so they're not overly concerned with morals. In their desperation, they turn to theft or worse. I want to go back and help, but what can I do? I think that if I could earn more experience and maybe some gold, I might be able to make a difference. Yeah, I think Lily's curious to hear about the Black Lake district, though. Some of the rich nobles have collected exotic animals and made a zoo for their entertainment. The conditions of the zoo are supposed to be disgusting, and the animals have been mistreated. Of course, Lily's not concerned about that at all. I should have done something about it, but the sick and the dying in this city are enough misery for anyone. I heard there's a druid here in the core who is looking for someone to help free the animals. If you want to go to the Black Lake district, you'll have to cross the slums. Alright, well that's the news. Didn't know that. Plenty of looters would like to stick a knife in you, so having someone you can guard your back and heal your wounds is a good idea. Of course, alluding to herself. Yeah, of course, Lily'd like to know how much her services would cost. I want to trust you, and I need the work, but I really don't care to be involved in any shady deals. Perhaps you could tell me more about the mission. Of course, that's confidential. I can understand that. If you're working for Arabeth, then I'm certain your mission must be of great importance. Arabeth has worked hard to combat this plague, so I'm sure I can trust her instincts. I'd love to work for you, if we can agree upon a fair price. My goal in life is to get through with a minimum of pain, but sometimes one has to aim for simple survival. To achieve that, you'll need an experienced healer. I promise I'll do my best to keep you in excellent health. Since we're both of the elven race, I'm willing to cut my normal fee. Only 150 gold. Of course, that doesn't sound like a reduction to Lily at all. But yeah, she would certainly entertain hiring Lanu, but not at the moment. Gotta speed your journey and keep you safe. If you have need of my skills, I'll be here unless someone else hires me. An elven priestess of the Lady of Dreams, one of the Seldarine. Lily will likely want her services as a healer at least, and her meek manner will suit Lily perfectly. Nice and malleable, unlike that savage drow of Shar. A squat dwarf, as if any weren't, though he's not trying to attract employers like the others. He's not even talking about Morden's hammer.
Hail to ye!
Grax, though he didn't necessarily announce that he was for hire. Here there, friend. I suppose I got time to chat. Trader Blaze ain't very busy today. I'm getting nowhere with his waitress. I have ever so many places to be. Yeah, right. Alright, doesn't sound like he's really for hire. In that case, Lily, rather end this conversation as quick as you can. Get on then. I've got drinking to do. It appears the only work he's looking for is in a tavern wench's bed, though he'd likely need a footstool to reach at the drunken fool. So typical.